It's time for Waking Up with Wesley. Today's forecast and weather-wide discussion with WLOX First Alert Weather Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams.
Waking Up with Wesley is sponsored by Exclusive Auto Brokers. For the best deals on wheels, visit Exclusive Auto Brokers on Beatline Road in Long Beach.
All right, good morning everyone, and welcome to Waking Up with Wesley. I'm Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. So are you ready for the weekend? We are looking at a very nice one with drier air on the way. But before we get there, still just a little bit more of a rain chance for Friday. And that could also lead to some of you seeing some wet weather. All right, so there's a look at those rain chances today, 60% and then down to 40% heading into tonight. And you can see that it is 0% as we go to the weekend. That's a pretty good looking start to the weekend. Just one more day today that we have to deal with those higher rain chances. Let's take a look at the forecast for today. Temperatures going into the upper 80s, but there could be a few spots getting to 90, depending on a few factors. Compressional heating. What's that? I'll explain it in a moment. But that's one thing that could help temperatures to spike. Also, offshore flow. What's that? We'll also talk about that too. That could also help temperatures to be a little bit hotter than you might expect. But otherwise, we do have that chance for rain that sits about 40 to 60%. And as you take a look at the details in today's forecast, those showers and storms that may develop today are expected primarily afternoon. So that's why this morning's rain chance is generally lower, and this afternoon's chance for rain will be higher and increasing. And you know, maybe there might be a strong thunderstorm or two in the mix. Maybe if we can see some strong thunderstorms, they could produce some gusty winds, maybe some small hail in or near South Mississippi. So here's a look at what we're tracking. That front that continues to move in from the west. There's the general position of that front as of the 8:34 time frame on Friday morning. And noticing that the level of severe weather risk is only a 1 on the Mississippi coast, but you can see it does jump up to a 2 in portions of Georgia, and it actually jumps up to a 3 just to the east of that and north of that in parts of the Carolinas. So the good news for us in South Mississippi is that we are not in the bullseye for severe weather risk today, so that keeps our probability pretty low at level 1. So it is a possibility that there could be some strong storms, but the probability of that happening is very low. So that's good news for us in South Mississippi. Now, when we say strong storms, what do we mean? Do we mean it's going to be pouring raining? Sure, but any thunderstorm can produce a downpour. Do we mean that there will be lightning? Again, sure, but any thunderstorm can produce lightning. It's literally the textbook definition of thunderstorm. Has to have lightning, has to be able to produce a downpour. So those two things can happen with any type of thunderstorm. But the strong ones, they come with a little more. They can produce some gusty winds, maybe some small hail, and the lightning can get even more frequent. And then when you go beyond that, you can get to a severe thunderstorm. Those are capable of producing damage because the wind is so strong it can damage things. The hail is so big it can damage things. And in any tornado, even a weak one, can damage things. So fortunately, we're not really expecting severe thunderstorms, but there is a possibility of strong ones. And so those are those impacts that we could see. Downpours, frequent lightning, gusty winds, small hail. Can't rule out those potential impacts. So the first alert radar as of this morning showing the rain developing offshore. But when there's a cool front, the wind flow around that front typically a front is in a convergence zone for winds. Typically, you have winds running toward a frontal boundary. So since we're in the south of it, generally, let me go back to my first map here. We're to the south of this front, so generally the winds would like to roll in from the Gulf, like this, the surface winds at least, would run in from the Gulf on the south side of the front, but then on the northern side of the front, the winds would actually come in from the north. And then those winds kind of converge along that frontal boundary. I mention that because when we switch over to our computer model here, it'll show the wind direction, and interestingly, as we put this into motion, you actually don't see that typical onshore flow that you would generally have ahead of a front. Because that's the case, maybe we're tapping into less moisture from the Gulf today as far as what could make rain showers develop. So maybe there won't be as many rain showers as usually happen ahead of a cool front, because look at what the winds are doing. Are they doing what they usually do ahead of a front and coming in from the Gulf? Not really. Instead, these winds are kind of moving in from the west today. And so that means that, first of all, this front's probably not that strong, because the stronger a front is, the more likely those winds are to be trying to converge along that boundary. You can see a subtle wind shift near where the front is located. Notice how we have the winds coming in from the north, and then they take a little turn toward the west, toward the east. So that shift of the wind direction will be how we will be able to tell that the front's passing. There'll be two ways we can tell. The first way is that the humidity, the dew points, are going to start dropping. But the second way is that we're going to start to get the wind coming in from the north instead of from the west. But since we don't have that classic kind of south wind and then north wind behind it, I do suspect that this will limit the rain potential a little bit. And it will also probably limit the severe potential too. There's not as much convergence, so that leads to probably fewer or less widespread rain occurring. So we go to the afternoon, you still don't see a whole bunch of rain showing up. But then by 4 p.m., there might be just enough convergence along that frontal boundary to allow for some showers and thunderstorms to develop in parts of the region. This will also occur at the same time that it's the hottest part of the day. So that daytime heating will also help some thunderstorms. Thunderstorms love heat energy. They feed off of it. So with that daytime heating, that can help some of them to develop a little bit more. And you can see that, but you can see that there's going to be some places that miss out on the rain. Not everyone going to get in on these rain showers. And then eventually that front will push offshore, and that will kind of drag all of the rain eventually with it offshore and lead us to drier conditions. I mean, if I go back and then go back to the end of this, you can see by 1 o'clock tomorrow morning, we no longer have that west wind. We are starting to get in on that drier north wind behind the front. And that drier wind from the north is what helps to kick all of that moisture to the curb, kick all the rain offshore, kick all the mugginess offshore. So the rain chances for this morning are pretty slim, 20%, maybe even less. But then by the time we get to the afternoon, the chance for rain increasing. By noon or 1 p.m., there could be a few pop-up storms just because it's hot enough and muggy enough for a pop-up storm to happen like a given summer-like day. So that 30 to 40% chance around noon or 1 p.m. And then you can see by the time we get to 4 o'clock, that chance for rain getting even higher, 50 or 60%, as that front gets a little bit closer. Again, maybe a little bit of convergence along that front could help a little bit more widespread rain activity. But there's going to be some gaps, some breaks in the rain. Look at this break in the rain, maybe near Saussure, maybe near Poplarville. Someone might actually miss out on this afternoon's and evening's thunderstorms. Not every street, not every town, not every neighborhood guaranteed to see rain later today. Those that do get the rain, remember, there can be some thunderstorms, and some could be strong enough to produce gusty winds, small hail, frequent lightning, and heavy downpours. Now we go to 7 p.m. and we're starting to see that push from the north of that drier air. So the drier air is coming in from the north and it's shoving all the rain offshore. Some places near the coast may still get some of those showers at 7 p.m. You can see those higher chances for rain still linger near Waveland, Gulfport, Biloxi, Pascagoula around 6 or 7 p.m. But it is looking like the rain chances are starting to decrease a little bit more to the north as the drier air continues to come in from the north. And then eventually later tonight, it's all gone. So there's those rain chances as we head into the remainder of your Friday, and you can see that they kind of increase as we go to the PM hours, some PM showers and thunderstorms. And then tonight, the chance for rain still a little higher in the evening, but then eventually it drops away to basically zero by the time you wake up on Saturday morning. You know what else will be dropping by the time we get to tomorrow morning? Those temperatures. So it is going to have a drop in the temperature from the 70s this evening down to the 60s by tomorrow morning. Maybe 62 inland, place like Wiggins and Perkinston, for example, but could be 65, 66, a little bit closer to the beaches, near Gaucher, near Waveland, near Ocean Springs, Long Beach, Pass Christian, etc. So there's a look at some more of those temperatures. Like I said, you know, maybe not 62 near Gaucher, might be 64, but you could get those lower 60, 62-ish once you go generally to the north of I-10. I wouldn't be surprised to see someone get down to 61 or 60 or even 59 at some point early Saturday morning. It will really depend on if we can see the skies clearing out. If it stays too cloudy, that will prevent any 50s from happening. But if we get some clear sky, I think the conditions could be ripe for a few isolated upper 50s inland. So that's how we start Saturday, with a cool start to the day, and it will be refreshing because it won't be as humid. So the later we go into the day, you're just going to be feeling this pleasant, comfortable, crisp feel. Do you have any plans to spend time outside on Saturday? Don't let it pass you by. Make plans right now for what you want to be doing outside tomorrow, because it's really going to be quite the treat. Especially considering summer is around the corner, and these types of days with lower humidity are few and far between. But as that cold front sweeps our dew points away, that's what helps them to drop, the drier air coming in from the north. You know, that dew point number, we talk about it a lot. The higher the dew point, the muggier it feels. The lower the dew point, the drier it feels. And today it's in the 70s, so it's going to feel muggy, if not tropical. But then by the time we get to tomorrow, it knocks that number down to the 50s. So it is going to be a pleasant feel in store for Saturday. You can see that on our scale here, where it's going to be a bit more pleasant as we go from Friday to Saturday, stays that way on Sunday, and then gradually we see the mugginess increasing next week. Early next week, it might not be terrible, but by the time we get to the second half of next week, woo, it might be even more muggy then than it is today. Next Thursday, oh boy, get ready for that muggy feel. It might be so muggy we see more of those pop-up showers and storms at some point around next Thursday. So that's why your 7-day forecast shows that increased rain chance later next week, as the air will be so juicy. Rain will be easy to come by then. But that's a long time away. We got a long time to look at the muggy days of late next week. In the short term, we're just really enjoying how this weekend will be so nice. You're going to see cool mornings in the 60s on Saturday morning and Sunday morning, and nice, comfortable afternoons. It's still going to be warm in the afternoon. There will be upper 80s, but because it's not as muggy, it won't feel as hot. It will be kind of a comfortable warmth instead of an overwhelming heat that you go into the afternoon for Saturday and Sunday. So hope that you have an amazing weekend as we gear up for the final weekend of May. I've been Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. Thank you so much for waking up with Wesley. Have a good one, and we'll see you again next time.
Waking Up with Wesley has been sponsored by Exclusive Auto Brokers. For the best deals on wheels, visit Exclusive Auto Brokers on Beatline Road in Long Beach.